Russian man like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang glide, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sleep like a lot.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And today, I want to bring you guys another discussion on Boruto Chapter 70. So, as we all know, Code has gotten his limiters removed, and in this last chapter appears to be cockier than ever before, with him going as far as to state that he's now so powerful that he doesn't feel like he's ever going to have to lose again. However, this has led to quite a few people hitting me up and saying that they feel that Code is going to be the one that gives Boruto the scar on his eye that we see during the flash forward sequence where Boruto versus Kawaki takes place. Now, keeping it real with you, the moment I saw Code was getting his limiters off and Amato dropped that line in the chapter that Boruto and Kawaki needed to train up before they fought Code, I knew my inbox was going to be flooded with message requests of people asking me to talk about if Code was going to be the one that gives Boruto the scar on his eye. And sure enough, I've had plenty of people hitting me up to talk about if Code's going to give Boruto the scar on his eye. Personally, I don't think that this is going to be the case right now. I'm still hanging on the idea that Momoshiki takes over Boruto's consciousness again and leads to someone close to Boruto, like say Sasuke, giving Boruto the scar on his eye. But I'll play devil's advocate here, given I literally got 20 message requests to talk about this the day that the chapter came out. So what would be the advantages of Code being the one that gives the scar to Boruto on his eye? First, you'd have a physical reminder of what happens when you're not strong enough to defeat your enemy. Right now, it does seem like Boruto's going to end up having a rematch against Code at some point in time, and it's a rematch needed to show Boruto just how far he has to go in regards to beefing up his base before he begins to stack the power of the karma and the true essence of karma onto his base. Getting bodied by Code, barely escaping, and having that scar over his eye is going to be more than enough for Boruto to learn the harsh reality. His enemy is much more stronger than him and is hunting him down. It's going to trigger that evolutionary effect in Boruto where Boruto's going to be backed into a corner, and the only way forward is to go through Code, because in this scenario, the moment that he stops moving, the moment that he stops fighting, he's going to get himself captured and fed to the Ten Tails. It will be Boruto learning that to live is to survive, but to survive, that's to find meaning into suffering that you had to endure in order to survive. Clinging to his life after a near-death experience, having that scar on his eye as a sign that he survived a brutal and near-fatal encounter, and then finding meaning into his survival by training with a renewed sense of focus to surpass his father Naruto, like he stated he wanted to do way back in the Momoshiki arc, and like Sasuke directly said that Boruto would eventually do. And he would have a renewed sense of focus to surpass Sasuke so he can take on the mantle of Shadow Hokage, because if Boruto gets that scar on his eye, that likely means that Sasuke wasn't strong enough to protect him as well. In the manga, desperate Boruto, truly desperate Boruto, isn't something that we've really seen, where he's so desperate to the point where lines are being crossed purely for the intent of survival and seeking out power. Up until now, Boruto gaining power was something that we've seen him do at first because it was something that he thought was expected of him as the son of the Hokage, and then it was something that Boruto did willingly because he wanted to protect his friends, and then it evolved into wanting to gain power so he could find a way to free himself and Kawaki from the curse of the karma. However, now it will be pure evolution, and that is going to be critical. Seeking out power merely as a means to ensure his own survival. It's something that is bound to push Boruto past his limits in ways that were never expected of him up until this point in time, because to do anything less, to be anything less than as powerful as Jigen, means having no hope for survival. Waking up every morning to see that scar on his eye, it's a daily reminder of the failure that he experienced of being hunted down by Code, of knowing that if he doesn't continue to make progress, he might very well end up getting himself fed to the Ten Tails. And once that happens, Boruto's gonna be screwed worse than Naruto if he actually had to remember the password that Sasuke gave him during the Forest of Death, which, speaking of passwords, that's a good time to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. This video is gonna be brought to you by NordPass. In a world where so much of our lives are connected online, your security is more important now than ever before, because with as much convenience that things like online shopping and connecting your social media accounts for faster logins provide you, the truth is that you're making it that much easier to hack your accounts. NordPass is a cybersecurity tool that will save you a lot of trouble because it's a highly secure password manager created by the experts who made NordVPN. With NordPass, there isn't a need for you to memorize your extremely long passwords because you're going to get all your passwords stored in one place, and all you need to know is your master password. You're also able to store your credit card information and personal details on NordPass. The data breach scanner alerts you to any online accounts or credit card information that's been leaked, which makes it easier to identify when and where a leak took place. The password health feature allows you to see how weak or strong your passwords are if they're older than 90 days and used on multiple accounts. To get a bit personal to you guys, part of the reason why I jumped on this opportunity to work with NordPass is that one of my closest friends, Bridget, ended up getting her identity stolen a few years ago, and it was all because one of her accounts got hacked and her credit card information got stolen, and it's because she used her name in the password, which that's one of the common mistakes that NordPass uncovered in their top 200 most common passwords research. I don't want to see it happening to you guys, which is why I'm imploring you to click the link in the pinned comment or in the description box. You're going to get an exclusive NordPass deal plus one additional month for free by going to nordpass.com/Naruto or use the code Naruto at checkout. And if you try it out and decide it isn't for you, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you again to NordPass for sponsoring today's video. It's a more serious tone to the Boruto character that we haven't seen. While somewhat similar to Naruto and his battle with the Akatsuki, this is still a little bit different. Naruto had the underlying goal of getting stronger so he could bring Sasuke back to the village and save his soul from being consumed by the flames of the darkness. Akatsuki were very much an issue for Naruto, but they weren't his only issue. Having Boruto solely focused on survival and solely focused on gaining power to ensure that survival, that is a tonal shift that I think that is welcome, and I think it's something that's needed for the series, and this is the reason why. Otsutsuki, they seek out power because it's the purpose of their clan. To not transfer power is to go against the clan law itself. Boruto was born as a human, but genetically, he is now 100% Otsutsuki, and he became Otsutsuki when Boruto died and was reborn via Momoshiki reviving him and making him into a full-blooded Otsutsuki. To have Boruto seeking out power as a means of survival, that is essentially Boruto acting less like a shinobi and more like an Otsutsuki, and that is something that can serve as a good internal conflict for Boruto's character as we begin to move towards that moment at the start of the series where Boruto declares to Kawaki that I'm still a shinobi. I can see why people like this idea of Code being the one that gives Boruto a scar. I just don't know if this is how it's going to be done, but I will concede, with Code now at the peak of his powers and the stakes being as high as they are, with it all but being certain that Boruto is going to have to fight Code again, now is as good of a time as any to go through with this line of thinking. The only thing that I worry about right now is that the story, should it go this route of Boruto getting the scar from Code, it might come off like a bit anticlimactic because it's too much of a low-hanging fruit. Now, don't get me wrong, it can work. I essentially outlined exactly how it can work in terms of impacting the story and moving it forward. I'm just not sure if this is the route you want to go, unless you want it to be part of a excuse to have Boruto get a bit of an edgier look as you move into closing out Boruto Part 1 and you take the story into the time skip. Merchandise-wise, it makes a lot of sense because it lets you sell more Boruto merchandise with a 13 going on 14-year-old Boruto having the scar over his eye, and then you roll the manga out into the next chapter when you get to your time skip and you have Boruto at age 16 with that scar over his eye. You double the merchandise to sell and you likely drum up more hype that way. Business wise, I totally understand it, and there are times where Shueisha's business incentives will influence the direction that the story takes. It's happened in the past and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens here, but I might be in the minority in saying that I don't think that Boruto having the scar pop up right now is the best idea to do. However, you know the deal by now. I want to know from you guys, Should Code give Boruto the scar on his eye, and should that take place right now? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.